Listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. So I'll start with what I just tweeted. It's just a really strange situation. As long as, you don't find that Greg Abbott or Donald Trump or anybody representing those people put YIT up to it, then it's really something stupid. It's just, they decided to be stupid in the wrong place at the wrong time. Could you charge them with felony? Of course. Is justice served with charging them with a felony? No. So again, theoretically, they're engaged in charity already. You could shut down the organization as a punitive action, but at this point, again, I would get her somewhere to make a statement if she wants to come in and cooperate, which it appears she might be. I don't know if she promised anybody money or not. But if she did, she has to, fess up to that. And, just let her know. It's very important she tells the truth, and that's it. And she tells the truth, and, she can fix it over the next year or so with training programs and diversion programs in the American community. That's generally what fixes it the most, is causing interaction between her or whoever. I mean, it's not just her, because again, the homeless lady has to be in with it also. Right. So again, interaction and service, and also, they have to be educated on, what's actually going on in these people's lives and why they're here and all that type of thing. Again, one of the conservative talking points, obviously, is that we're all being ripped off by all this charity. That the money should go to us, and I agree. I should have had larger. I should have a larger disability payment, and it's not. But it's not because of that. In other words, that money is there because you didn't allow my disability to increase, and that was under the Trump administration. And it could have been Democrats also, but the fact is, this is not a political issue when it comes to why certain people aren't receiving that money. Like Tucker Carlson curses money away from homeless people. He really does. And all of those people that are into that talking point. And then they say, well, Joe Biden's spending it somewhere else because you cursed it somewhere else. Again, the same thing with the drones. I guarantee law enforcement officers that were stalking me online under the color of law and outside the color of law cursed away full-size drones for law enforcement, and they ended up in the Ukraine. Because they didn't want them to do it and say, well, Moore came up with that. like it's a big deal that you actually engage in another program that I come up with. I mean, they're just psychotic people that were spoon-fed as children, spoon-fed as college students, spoon-fed as adults, and spoon-fed as crooks in government and criminal enterprises and corporations and things such as that. And of course, their families are criminal enterprises in themselves. And quite frankly, God doesn't have a problem with ending your families. And again, with COVID, that probably happened for some of the families. So again, I'm the messenger, but I'm also the angel of vengeance, only because you wouldn't let me be who God intended me to be on this planet. And it isn't just one thing. God had about 150 lives for me. And we went through all of those, and God said, at this point, we've went through everything that we could have ever made you on this planet. And that's physically operated. It's not only witchcraft. It's not only harassment online. Now, the big part of it is you have people in Russia, in the Ukraine, that were spies, that were operating us, that had money, that were criminal enterprises, all that type of stuff, all that money moving, that was operating me and the other people into these shit lives while they were coming over and grabbing all the $1 million apartments because you all were killing the money by killing me and the other people that are the real great people, not the bullshit criminals that you all are. And that goes all the way to the top of justice, to the bottom of justice, and everywhere else in the government. Enough of the bullshit, all of you. Enough of it. I mean, we're talking about you all going to hell for eternity, and every day you bring another 5 devils in, because now they devils and they made it somewhere in government. And you have some fake case just to show how you actually prosecute it. Now, it might be a real case, but at this point it's fake because another 5,000 people in your organizations do exactly what the case you're prosecuting is. Like these torture cases. No, see, this is real torture. What we're doing to you isn't torture. I mean, that's their torture take on that. No, it's not me. It's all of you. And I'm moving the system to respond to that statement. And of course, I'm with God. You have a problem with I and the Father being one. It's not my problem. It's yours, all of you. Million years in hell problem from all of you, or for all of you, and from all of you. I had 0 choices. 0 choices. Like I told you, reality will reign. And whose reality, whose truth? God. Very nice night, beautiful. I have to go for a walk. I think it's the nicest night of the year so far. It was like really warm in the day, and it's been warming up, but the evening got nice and cool. Absolutely gorgeous. I told myself I was going to make sure that I get out at night walking because it's so gorgeous in the morning and at night. It's really nice here. It gets a little warmer in the day, but those mornings and nights are gorgeous. So there's a couple drunk people there. I decided to walk over. They have some picnic tables here around the other side, and a lot of drinking going on and stuff. So I go over there, and I'm going to speak to a couple people, maybe. So I start a conversation, and it's obvious that the person's drunk, and of course, it turns out they have like some, what's that thing called? A vape thing with THC or something. Or, you want some? No, it's okay. And this other ex-Marine shows up. Now, the thing about the Marine is, and it was a good conversation because I could analyze what was going on. The Marine is like, well, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I'm not going to ask for VA for help because they didn't approve me and all this. Because the woman was telling me that Kansas is better than Oklahoma for VA. Probably because it's not as corrupt. That's what it's tracking. I mean, it's corrupt, but it's not as corrupt as Oklahoma. And that's just not only the VA, it's just in general. So, we got this conversation going, and I'm thinking about the Marine, and I didn't bother to speak because at that point, it was obvious that they were both, separately getting drunk at the same level of drunkenness. They probably blow about a 2.5 or something. And maybe not that, but at least a 2.0. So I'm like, okay. But he's saying, he's like, I'm not going to ask them for help ever again. And I'm thinking, by what he was saying, I could tell he could get VA benefits. It's just what they're doing. But the thing is, I had a discussion with God afterwards, and I said, but if he applied, he would go down further. They curse him for it. Somehow there's a curse out there against him, or somebody might even hate him and be watching his life. One of the in crowd. Oh, so you're against the in crowd more? No, they're actually the out crowd. We're the in crowd. The world's upside down. And, you know, I'm not really sorry, but on this planet we said, well, I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings that you're all these things that I say you all are. But you had choices in your lives not to be it, unlike your victims. So I can tell he could qualify for benefits, but I don't know if he would get them. But Satan doesn't want him to reapply or go through it. What I received in my mind is he should go through a lawyer. I can't go through a lawyer because the lawyers are deep state. Now, he can't go through a lawyer either if a deep state or somebody affiliated with something similar is trying to take him out. Now, he was very drunk, too, and so he was getting the Marine bravado. Oh, the Marines, not really the government. The government sucks with the Marines. We're like the baddest. I'm like, I'm not going to try to interject anymore, you think, because they wouldn't let me speak anyway. Satan was in full form, speaking through them. You get what you put into everything. I'm like, what? They're all asleep, you know. Like, you think like Donald Trump worked hard in his life? You think he deserves all that? So I didn't bother having a discussion with them. I don't think they were going to listen to me anyway. They were just going back and forth with each other, but they were like having this conversation, and neither one was conversing on the same wavelength. They were just having a conversation by themselves while they're both speaking. But they both acted like it was a real conversation, like they were actually back and forth having conversation. But it wasn't going anywhere, and it had no real connection. Every once in a while, they would hear one word that one would pick up a word the other one was saying, and then would include it in their conversations and make it look like it was a conversation. So she's like, "Hey, you want some?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, thanks." So that was an interesting evening there. So I healed him and moved along. I couldn't even say, like, it wasn't even comfortable to say, okay, y'all have a good night. I'm going to walk on here. I just kind of inched off to the side of the concrete pad and then started walking faster. Wasn't worth it. But that just shows that foreign substances, narcotic substances and alcohol allow Satan in, not necessarily to make you evil, but will confuse your speech and confuse your mind so that you'll speak what Satan wants you to speak at the given moment. Satan was speaking through both of them. And again, that could happen to anybody because Satan owns this planet. So it is what it is. But I mean, she's a veteran, and I don't know. She's a decorated veteran. I don't know how decorated she is or not decorated, but the idea is that she's a veteran. She was in a combat zone. May have a few issues from that, maybe not. I don't know. She could have been a cook in the rear the whole time. I don't know. But I still, you need those people, and they do have credit. But as far as psychological disruption, it could happen, but not as likely. So again, and then, she's got the premature baby thing, and then she has, but then she goes and does the homeless thing too. And again, I just think we just need to get her back on the straight and narrow. And, her forte is charity. Maybe we can, get her to commit, maybe even for a lifelong assistance to the immigrant community. Something's going on here. What's going on here? We could make her, or she could self, a commitment to help the immigrant community and maybe become a person that can manage some of that stuff. But again, she's hurt her credibility in the community, and that's important when you're running a charity. But I mean, you know, I've been around the homeless community, so that's really not that odd. You know, it probably is odd for it's because it's upstate New York, I think. So it is kind of odd for up there, right? But I think this whole talking point that's going on out there, not only against immigrants, just this idea that we're not getting ours and they're getting theirs. And again, I hear it every day, and I could be angry, but again, it's all the same thing. It's all the beasts trying to, again, what's his name? Malcolm X. You know, he said, if you're not careful, we'll have you hating the people doing the oppressing, or hating the people that are oppressed, and you know, actually working for the people that are oppressing. I mean, they should. There's enough evidence out there that they could cut me a check and say, here, this is for all your help and for all the trouble that you've had. See, now this is not making sense. That's not making sense. What is this going on? It's Satan or something here. But they can cut me a check for the help that I gave them and all the trouble I had because of that help. But it's also people within their government that did it. And I understand you fired a lot of them. You pulled their clearances. You did all this crazy stuff to get them out. But you never compensated me, and you need to. No, my retirement's for something completely different. It really doesn't even cover what happened to me before I retired. But I was a good guy, and I said, okay, I got my retirement. The senator got it for me. I'm just going to keep going through life. But the reality is, when I got that retirement, I was going to move on to more employment. That wasn't long. As long as I didn't go into like law enforcement employment or something similar, I was allowed to do it. And that would have made my life comfortable. No, I didn't make my choice not to work. You forced it. And you forced it on the community around me. And if I had actually moved further in seeking employment, you would have destroyed those communities, or they would have called the cops on me, and probably already did, for some bullshit charge just to get you away from them. It's organized crime and racketeering. And they think it's funny. Well, that's the way it is. Well, you'll see the way it is. What I'm speaking about in your lives, many of your lives, won't start till the day you die. That's a fact. Will I sit there and gloat over it? No, I don't. I already told God like a long time ago. God knows me better than anybody because God and I speak a lot together. And some of you have heard me speak to God. And God and I told God, you know, I really don't want to be around anyone. I don't need, you know, this is not just, they're beneath any place that's an afterlife of any decency. And even those that are supposedly going to heaven, and God says, well, there's something built into heaven that they don't know about because it's a self-serving heaven. So that's where all the self-serving people go to heaven. And see, the same thing they do here. One of the things they do is make people think that their life's improving, or they're going to get paid for what they're owed. There's going to be a payoff somewhere. So that's why God says, yeah, go to heaven, and you'll see angels. Angels, we made it. Look, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're in heaven now, Bovard. Remember I told you about the Islamic people with the paradise? And they're going to get the virgins. Not all of them. Again, these are the evil ones, like the evil Christians. They're going to get to paradise, and it's going to play out just like they were told for torturing and murdering people. They're going to get virgins, and then the suicide bomber is going to walk in and blow them all up with complete awareness through the entire event, even when they're laying there as a splattered nothing mass of blood and tissue. That's reality. That's what's going to happen to them when they get to their quote-unquote. This thing keeps going. I ordered a new cable. Hopefully it gets here tomorrow. It's my battery cable. But that's what's going to happen when they get to their quote-unquote heaven or paradise. Now, it's not nothing against Islam. This is actually built into Islam. It's built into every religion, a fake heaven. Because what they do, and Satan does, is he skews the truth enough so that the evil people look like they're going to heaven and the people that they victimize look like they're going to hell. Some of you can't get out of it. Some of you, it's a done deal. Because the scriptures speak about done deals, don't it? All right, I don't know why this is like this. I got to get into my room and get this fixed. Again, Satan's pretty anti-powerful tonight. Oh yeah, okay. There's another reason I'm over here to fix this. So I have people that I talk to on and off over here. Some, they got enough issues, and I'm not going to talk to them unless they say, hi or something. It's just I'm not going to play that game. Push pull, push pull. And that's what the deep state does anyway. They do that to make their person, and they'll say, well, we're trying to get them not to speak about this. But what they're not telling you as part of that is they're not going to stop doing it. They're just trying to get me to stop speaking about it. Oh, we didn't lie. We wanted them to stop speaking about it. But that's one of their scams. They push pull, and then if you don't speak about it, like maybe for a couple days, they'll talk to you and act normal. And then they start all over again with something else, and then eventually it leads you to walk naked down the street or expose yourself at a store. They drug people into it. Believe me, that's what's happening out there. Is there some natural stuff? Yeah, of course. Because all they have to do is possess some people. They don't have to drug them into possession. So this is the Ephesians. That's what they are. Now, as far as standing, God can cause you to stand. A lot of Christians that are rich and wealthy and in these devil lives that look like angels of light, ministers of righteousness, will point to God. If God is with you, this would not affect you. Meanwhile, they're cursing you to it. Again, a metaphysical form of Munchausen by proxy. But God told me, remember, these people have taken and do take routinely the mark of the beast when it presents itself. So again, if you take it, if your life, you take the mark of the beast, and then you did something for the beast, and the beast allows you to buy and sell, and your life picks up. If it can come again, and then your life will pick up again. So they retake the mark of the beast, is what God is telling me real time right now. So again, what they will do will point at the sinner, the guy that drinks, the gal that uses fentanyl, the person that uses trank and walks around like a zombie, and all the other things. So point to them as not standing, not putting on the full armor of God. But yet, the reason that's happening is because those speaking about putting on the full armor of God, those that look like the angel of light and the ministers of righteousness, are actually the ones that caused it in their life. So who's actually standing? Do you know why that person's addicted to trank? Because they won't take the mark of the beast. That's why. Period. No other reason. So God said they actually stood. They didn't take the mark. What's a bigger sin? Adultery or taking the mark of the beast? Sin is sin, of course. But what is mark of the beast? It's over. You can't be saved. So if you want a sin count, and that's why I bring it up. See, again, see how Satan brought up the thought, well, sin is sin at that point? All right, something's not right. I wonder why is it this one? It's got to be this one. It's got to be my battery. Can you hear that in the background? Sounded demonic, didn't it? Satan's here. I actually saw him on the balcony about 15 minutes ago. When I started about 15 minutes ago. I didn't say anything. So when you go to the scripture, at one point, Lot is there and God is speaking to Satan. Satan actually presents himself in a physical form. And that's what was back there. I've seen it in a church before. When I went back to that one fundamental Baptist church, Satan was there. I've seen him probably a couple of times. What was the other thing I was going to say? So again, it's all relative to what the scriptures are relative to what the scriptures say, and they say things about everybody. And it was meant to do that. So when Jesus came, he could say, well, we're all following. Jesus even said he is not good. A lot of churches don't want you to know that because they're too busy playing the we're good game. That's one of the most important statements in the work of Rabbi Jesus Emmanuel Christ, Ben David, son of David, Ben Elohim, son of God. Put that out there again. Repower Jesus. How you like my Jesus? I brought that up before. Isn't that funny how that works? That's seeing. He's Jesus. That's how it works. There might be a spiritual battle soon. Angels and demons. I can see them all. It's kind of like a lull. They're all here, but there's no battle going on. Just observing for now. And I guess I didn't connect it. Oh, you don't have to more. FBI psychology knows what's going on, but anyway, and they're 10 times as guilty as the average agent. So earlier, I was going to post the video of Jesus riding to earth with the saints, but I didn't. But I knew it was happening. So now they're here. Oh, that's almost my program anyway. The one that you violated. So again, I don't want that dirty, the program. Take some veteran woman and trash her life. Meanwhile, Abbott and all his goons are playing games all day long and nobody does anything. Now, if you find she's related to Abbott, then there's a bigger conspiracy. Of course, I would then bring her in and give her immunity if it worked. And fry Abbott. Or if you find some professional investigators connected, quote unquote. That's the kind of stuff they're up to. But they could have willed her to it too. Their will could have found her moment of weakness and pushed her into it. That's the one thing that's kind of weird in this day and age, because we always had the spirit of the law, and generally if somebody's possessed, you could kind of minimize the case or get rid of it. Now witchcraft is so large and the will is twisting so many people that it's kind of difficult. I mean, I guess they do it through bail reform and diversion programs, but it's immense. That's all that's going on. It's a metaphysical evil. That's all it is. Now, some people want to bring up Paul because Satan puts that in your head. Paul said a lot of things. And what they'll do is they'll pick where Paul says, we just have to love people more. Again, that's okay. Remember, Paul also said at that point he realizes something, but he's looking through a glass darkly, and then face to face, he will realize it much more. Much more. And I'm not telling you that that doesn't have a valid application. But again, if you understand how the Bible works, there are audiences. Now, did Paul mean to be nice to this person and mean to that person? No, not at all. But again, we're in a different time, and that's obvious. And the Bible speaks about this time. Now, the end times could be a day, 1,000 years, or 1,000 years times 1,000 years. It's just the way this all works. But we're in that time now where things have changed. And of course, that was before it changed again when I told you not to go overtime or affect my health beyond a certain point. It's not me when I say that. When I said that, that was God speaking through me. I had no idea what God was talking about. I mean, I was. Now, I'm wondering if they're doing this now. This don't make sense. They could be hacking and restarting it. I'm going to play with it a little bit here, see if I can get it to do it again. I don't see it being mechanical. I'm jiggling my cables around and so we're in that time, and the reality of it is that when I woke up, I started studying after the church was just exceedingly evil, and it was a sure thing that it was not going to work at that time period. They were going to work for the deep state, and that's all there was to it. They call it partners or whatever. So God had me start studying the Hindus, and we were going to make a pass past the Hindus and the Sikhs and all that, and the yogis. Gonna take a look at them. Of course, I'm just living that life. That's what it was for, but I'm just trying to live that life. So I started studying, and they talk about the gods, and the gods are generally like angels, and what it is they worship God. That's the part you have to understand that's left out of even some of the Hindu religions, because Hindu is not really one religion; it's many religions under one banner, and a lot of them are monotheistic. But Brahma has this clock, and one day equals like this immense time, like, I don't even remember, 16,000 or 16 million years or something. So this is how God's communicating what's going on. Because he can't get the word directly to me, but he can show me things. And when you go back to Christianity, a day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. You're going, wait a minute, and it's in reference to the end times, So I started getting through, because Earth is set up a certain way, and again, this is not Earth, so we don't have to worry about that. But this hellish place is set up a certain way that if you know something, you can know more. Now, it's not always fair, and I'm always going to say that about this place, but that's one of the triggers to get information, is to already know some information. And then Satan tries to discredit it, going, oh, it's coming from your mind because now you know something. Well, then why did you make the rule that you have to know something and know something? And so I can say that to everyone. So Satan is full of deception all day long. So the idea is that God is somewhere. And the clock in that place, again, God is here also, but it's a different aspect of God. A different, I wouldn't say form of God, but it's a dumbed down form of God, but yet it's also a more knowing form of God as to what's actually happening here and what it takes to effectuate what God wants all the way at the top in the original form to happen. So again, there's a translation going on here. A translation of God into this existence as God needs to be translated to make the things happen that God, in God's original form, wants to happen. But that place is on a different clock than we are. So it's really important that they said, a day with is 1,000 years is a day. You can go back and forth between Hinduism. People say this is why they're all lies because there's a lot of similarity. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Now there is a truth that Satan will mimic God, but there is truth in these other religions that God put there. So I mean, at least for me, I don't know if He did it for you. Obviously, He did it for me. You all complain about it. I see it there, and I know how to use it. So there's a lot as far as what's going on. One of the biggest statements really is that I had in Revelation is that God said, and sometimes God has to word it like this, because you ever wonder why things are worded strangely, but not so strangely if you understand. God said, every single person on earth could live their lifetime, and instead of all of those lifetimes running consecutive or time being as it is here, let's say it's 100 years. You live on earth 100 years. You live on earth 60 years. We all could have left heaven on the same day and returned on the same day. And for God, it could be like 30 seconds. Now, I do believe something's broken. And why do I believe that? Because God just made it feel like the Matrix movie. Something needs to be fixed here. But again, if we destroy this place, I have no idea what the afterlife, the sky is going to do. Because essentially what happened is the sky built this place. If you know what Native American culture speaks about the sky, and it's very important that they speak about it. Again, Christianity and Judaism call it the heavens. Well, because the evil in the sky, evil beings in the sky, specified this planet by willing things. And then God, in whatever form, the creator form, was here and created it. So there's actually people here that are those things that specified this place. This is their planet. But they're most likely going to end up in hell. So it's very important for me to see, oh God, what was his name? Robert Laureate. What's his first name? I can't remember. But his poem, Tree of Life, was very important because it spoke about a place before creation, this creation of this planet. And the fact is, before I heard the dramatic presentation of what is, a poem, God had already instructed me in what it was like in heaven, or God's abode. Again, a lot of religions call that where God lives, which is really where we all come from. And there was no attainment in absolute equality. Even God was equal, but everybody, in other words, it's kind of foreign to people here, but you don't have to think of God as being superior in the original place. It's just that's God and we're creation. There's no, oh, you're God and we're creation. Because it doesn't exist. Hierarchy doesn't exist. When you listen to that, your mind computes hierarchy. It's not like a disrespect to God because there is no hierarchy. In fact, there is no hierarchy here. There's only lowerarchy. There's that cat. They've rescued the kittens from the cat. She's out alone. I feel bad for her, but she's definitely a long-time stray. She doesn't really come to, meow sounds or any of that stuff. Most cats will, especially for feeding them on and off. And they were feeding them, and they got all the cats, got them all adopted out, or all the kittens adopted out, so that was nice. She's probably going to hunt some mouse or something. All Or maybe, who knows, there might be some food over there. They have pets over there. She was like, okay, so yeah, I think she's going to have a mouse. She goes and gets the bowl of the cat over there that's on the outside, or the dog food or something. So again, hell is real, and I'm here to help you understand that. We could have did this much larger. Again, the first work was to erase hell, but the planet objected to that because it would erase hell from Earth. So again, the whole thing is they put people in hell on Earth based upon sometimes biblical scripture, but it's all bullshit. And again, Jesus alluded to the Sadducees and Pharisees doing something like that, weighing them down with burdens, hellish lives. So we were erasing hell, and they got mad because I imagine they saw their hells erasing as we were doing it. Again, I was doing it alone, but people picked up on the vibration. Some may have been phony. CIA may have put them out there to make it look like it was going somewhere, but they would miss the keys that they needed to understand. Like they needed to preach to that group of people that put people on hell on earth, the devils, demons, antichrist, witches, and sorcerers. They needed to preach to them. I'll tell you right now, spiritual demons, devils, that type of thing, they've already repented. Again, we're forward. Again, it's a dyslexic thing, and all of it can change based upon future circumstance. So all prophecy is subject to change. But I've preached like this, and that's maybe why some of them are here. I don't know. They can repent. Satan can even repent if, again, certain factors are met. Because, again, the snake was possessed by something that entered into the garden. You missed that part, I guess. They were all possessed by beings that are here now. Like Donald Trump may have possessed the snake to cause Eve to fall. And I do that because that's the type of people that have that kind of projection. Now, a homeless person could do it too. If a homeless person did enough in life of evil, he or she could have projected power like that. But generally, they would have money. So again, if Satan needed that scam, then Satan would have that scam. But it would generally be like a homeless person. If you look at the homeless community, some people, they just do well in the homeless community. And they're from one to the next, boom, 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 boom. They have girlfriends. They have a pet for a while. They eat good. Everybody trying to give them something. Now, it's not a life I would want, but although it's a life they want me in, but not doing so well. It would be a setup. I'd go in there and they'd say I did something and try to arrest me or something. I used to just sit in stores on a computer and they try to insinuate I was doing something. I'd just sit there like surfing the net, doing spiritual stuff. I couldn't believe what they did in Venice, California. So somebody today was from California and they were leaving because it's phony. I said, I realized it was phony in 6 months. But again, it's not the conservative argument. They're phony too. That's probably who paid them anyway. So again, before you believe there's a Democrat and Republican, they pay each other money in that secret society, racketeering and organized crime, corruption. They try to say, well, that's how bad this guy is. Even the criminals want to get rid of him. We have to protect the criminals from him. That's the kind of scam they try to put out there. So again, so Paul comes along, Rabbi Paul, and he gets born again. And he starts telling people about being pure and holy. And then he sits back, and it's kind of ironic because this is why Jesus and God contacted him and move so much power so that he could begin his ministry in earnest. Because Jesus sat back in heaven and went, "Oh my God, oh no." Because it was going in the wrong direction. So Paul said, okay, let's all be holy and, we're going to, be righteous and we're going to look righteous. And all of a sudden his tune changed. He's like, yeah, but. Now the church has moved back to before Paul began saying, hey, let God judge this. We're all going to give an account of ourselves. Let's just, kind of ride this out neutrally. Paul says, look, I have a liberty of freedom to be weak, to be Jewish, to be this, to be that, so that I can get the gospel forward. The Bible tells you what a preacher's supposed to be. Now, again, I think the biggest issue is the things where preachers are not where they're supposed to be, and then they get where they're not supposed to be. In other words, if you realize what Paul was saying and don't enter into that judgment, the holier than thou judgment, it's easier to protect yourself from falling into that sexual sin. I personally think the Bible challenges you, unless it's dangerous, to keep your preacher once he falls or she falls. I mean, today we have she. I think it does. Again, if there's a danger, you can't allow that. But like if the preacher steals money, well, because it's a mirror at times. It's a looking glass. So again, I always make sure I stay clean of any final judgment of anybody. I will always invoke, and I've said it during the podcast, anything I say is subject to God. If I've said anything in error, then it shouldn't be listened to. It shouldn't affect anything. And all final judgment is God. So could we live in a fairy tale land where God accepts all the evil? Yes. And God could say, everybody forgiven. Creation take two. Let's go somewhere else. But from what I know, that's not going to happen. You had your chances, all of you, to erase hell. But because you believed other people were going to hell, and other people deserved hell on earth, or hell on this planet, again, I don't say that it's earth. It's trying to get back to being earth as hard as it can, as often as it can, as far as being named earth, because there's an up from that. It's a hellish place, and that's what it is, and that's its place. Take away some of that credibility that it should have never had to begin with. So this planet could not live without harming the other creation by putting them in hell. Now, God has shown me a hell. I know it isn't like Son of Sam, because that's the way they act. Oh, these cockroaches are like Son of Sam dog to Larry. So these cockroaches, it's like that Fly movie. No, God's great with visions if you're just part of whatever God and I are part of. I guess God, Right. So essentially, God says, "See that cockroach right there? I used to be a human here on this planet." That person's in hell and knows that they're on this planet and knows that they're a cockroach, but has the urges to do everything a cockroach does and eat what a cockroach eats. So God is relative to where, or I mean, hell is relative to where God puts that being in hell. So walking around Earth as a cockroach while humans are, and you know why? I can see people. I heal them of this. They put people in cockroach lives. They actually will it and curse people to it. There was this guy, and they're trying to do it to me. Been trying to do it. You know, I'm pretty cognizant of it, but I couldn't beat their drugging because that's what it was, and it's obvious. So I got injured. But you see the people that are bent over when they walk? That's a curse. They want people to bow to them. So there's that sound again, right? It's actually a truck going by, but I can hear the demonism in it. I'm not saying the truck's demonic, but the sound it's making is denoting that demon Satan is here, or are here. And again, it is. And it came up earlier. I changed it from was to were or something like that. You know, the thing is, what they're one. Things are one sometimes, and a typo will say is, and that specifies that oneness, that connection. That's a psychic thing. Now, I'm not telling you any other psychic has any of this knowledge, so don't go, oh, the Sikhs taught him that. Oh, the Hindus taught him that. No, they don't have much of what I have. And some of them could care less. I mean, they're just playing their game out. So again, Paul put a lot in there to fix what was already breaking in his lifetime. So he said, circumcision is nothing. What is the church? Oh, we're this, we're that. And the weird part is, when you get to this whole transgender thing, it gets a little weird. The big circumcision. Again, I don't think anybody should alter the body like that. I believe in plastic surgery if it makes you feel better. However, I don't believe in extensive. There's a lot of addiction out there to that. So again, I take it from that standpoint. I think what's happening is something is causing them to alter themselves. And there's a lot of things that do that based upon a lot of things. And I think they're being pushed to alter themselves past where they need to. And again, that's what we see with the transgender youth. The problem is the Republicans are not really interested in fixing the problem. They just want to abuse the problem. So they try to take control of the narrative by doing probably what's right, but probably for the ultimately wrong reasons. Now, children should not be altering themselves, and they don't need to. Something's causing them to want to do that. Now, you could refine that and fix it so that people that really do need to do that in their lifetime, you probably will not be able to, they will not be able to function without those changes, like transgender. But I think you could minimize transgender a ton. And again, it's not fair to a 16-year-old or even an 18-year-old to let that happen where they're not going to, again, they say only, small percentage detransition. But if they never transitioned, a lot less would never transition. You see. And there's also a program of probably birth gender hormones and things like that could possibly not require it. And again, for a lot of transgender people, that's a foreign thought. But the world's weird. And that's part of the weird world at times. So again, ultimately, it's a healing because it's easier to stay your birth gender. Now, again, you're having an experience, and many of you, it's an honest experience, but it may not be necessary, and it would be easier the other way. But then again, God is true, and God had me tell you that if you focus too much on this LGBTQ and trans thing, like a long time ago, it's just going to keep growing. because Satan is going to use it because you hate it. So that causes it to grow. The church focus on it. That's why Paul was like, okay, let's not focus on this for now. Let's move along and focus on something else. So is it, they say, is it a sin to be gay? Of course. Is it a sin to be me? Of course. Is it a sin to be you? Of course. Is it a sin to be the church? Of course. I mean, we thought we got all that finished with when Jesus came. And of course, you'll find it in Judaism also. So again, what they're trying to get us to say, what the church is saying, and I understand they're trying to help gay people and people that accept. There was a couple of Christian school teachers, and they kind of took it on. They put their pronouns. They got canned for putting pronouns in their emails. But they were saying that I don't think it's a sin to be gay. And, it's really, it's a sin to be gay. It's a sin to be me. It's a sin to be you. It's a sin to be the church. We're all full of sin. None good. They're not one. See, that explains what the Bible is actually designed to do. Because let's say that religion never came, the Bible, the Torah never came. Do you think people were saying it was a sin to be something before that? Of course. And what do? They sacrifice you to Zool or something. So from God's perspective, he was going to get rid of the idea of sin, or at least control it. So you see, you're going back to sacrifice. You're metaphysically sacrificing people, all of you. They so badly wanted and again, they do it to conservatives also. I didn't say they were any better, the liberals that are into this witchcraft and stuff. But they so badly wanted a trans shooter. And I'm sure there's spycraft operators, whether it be in Russia or not, is neither here nor there, that worked for that effort of the Republican Party to create trans and LGBTQ shooters. It's like they keep score. That's really who we are. It's all metaphysics. Although a physical world exists, a psychological world exists, but it's all bound by metaphysics. Because if you had additional metaphysical power, your life would be better. You would be healed. You wouldn't be in a place where you had a car accident. You wouldn't be in a place where you feel like if I had another, and again, it's money, but if I had probably another $20,000 a year, I'd be a lot happier. Probably way more than $20,000 a year happier. But they know that. See, they calculated my income. Couldn't go above a certain amount because I would be comfortable, I would be protected. They still do it. They're removing the power, or I should say anti-power at this point, but the power of CIA, the power of foreign intelligence, power of law enforcement, and in the essence of racketeering and extortion to make sure I don't get a penny more. In fact, they spent years trying to take what I already had by saying it was fraud. These are people that are millionaires and billionaires, or millionaires and it gets backed by billionaires. Some just that 100,000aires, but still. God is not mocked. You all go to hell. Angel Bob's out here. What's he doing? Oh, he's goofing around. He's bored. He looked like he was directing traffic. I didn't know he was here, and all of a sudden I see him over in the grass over here directing traffic, but there's no traffic. He just said he's just bored. Bob Levinson. I don't hear him. I don't hear a voice. I get thought. Yes, Fabio laughs with me. Bob and I were supposed to probably do something. Again, I'm sure it would never happen even if we stay alive. Well, maybe I can't say that. Maybe there would have been enough power actually to get me somewhere. Good power, should I say? God power, good power. Good power is God power with an extra O. With an extra O. Oh, wait, I guess I don't know if you heard me. If I ate that meal at the Wharf Rat, I'd have been dead. I wouldn't be standing here. Make sure you hear that. John could have, I don't know what that was, but John could have easily drove off without his glasses if they drugged him. Very easily. So that was the bottom line. They killed him by drugging him and psychologically operating him into suicide. Very common. Not as common as it was before I started telling everybody about it, but still happens. As far as government employees. But he probably don't have as many honest employees anymore. They're just pieces of shit trying to play their game out. Going to get rich off everybody else's back. Going to get their Silicon Valley job. But they'll go to hell. They'll go to hell, man. Believe me. You're not going to play respecter of persons with God. You're just not going to do it, all of you. That means that whatever position you held, for some reason, God's going to forgive you for being a devil. I mean, that's really where they are. And, the church is partly at fault, but, willful ignorance, need not apply. To heaven, that is. Your application will be rejected immediately. So the church, gets you to worship police in that position. You can't. Gets you to worship Christian position. You can't. Being a Christian and believing you're saved based upon being a Christian or being sinless, that's a respecter of persons. Again, Paul addressed that in a different way. Circumcision. Big deal. I know you drugged me. You did it to me in Indiana because I met that woman. That was my instructor, and she liked me. And she happened to be a resident doctor. God was setting my life up. Now, I think she was bisexual. It was kind of weird. But I didn't know her that well, but I could tell where it was going. I didn't even try to do anything. I already met her mother like the first day I was in the class. So again, that's for women, that means something. See, that's when they come and they drug you, when something's about to happen in your life. But at this point, when COVID happened, they figured they could kill me and just say it's COVID. Or something, or what is that long? And that's the point. Some of that long-term COVID is actually spycraft murders. It's a perfect cover. Yeah, I guess this is all just long-term COVID or whatever they call it. They drugged me. And they actually, if you look, they sent messaging out that that's what it was. Now, could they do that just to fuck with my head? Yeah, but I doubt it. They did it. They were laughing. They took my back out. Again, there's muscle relaxers and muscle tighteners. I'll tell you what, I was lucky. Actually, you know what? When I lived in that house in Venice with all those, what you would call dregs of society or whatever, it was like 30 of us. And we lived in a house in Venice, California. And there was probably, up in my room, probably 8 people. I told you they sent in one of their people to steal my laptop. And everybody rebelled against the guy. I guess not rebelled. He rebelled. They went and they grabbed, his stuff and went through it and go, there it is. They're great people, man. I mean, I kind of wish, again, of all the places I stayed, they were probably the most honest people. There's a Vietnam veteran. He was an instructor in Culver City, a fitness instructor, and a martial arts instructor. I think his biggest thing was martial arts, but he was a good guy, very healthy for his age and all that. And There was the psychic girl who would go down the beach and do the readings. And she had her boyfriend who used to be in a punk rock band, and they were like millionaires and spent all their money, and then were nobodies. That's one thing is if you start making money as a musician, you got to put it away, invest it, and all that, and healthy stuff, because eventually it could go. He was they're like a 2-hit wonder or something. And they spent it on all this crazy. They had a crazy life. He wasn't there at first. She was. And then he showed up, back into her life. And, she was going to try to help him get back into life. I don't know, I guess, narcotics addiction and all that stuff. He stayed in the room for a little bit. Right? Then there was, what else was in there? I guess there were a couple of short-term people. I guess me, the mind reader girl, her boyfriend, the Vietnam vet for that floor, the major people. There were a couple other people. They were in and out. And then there was other floors. There was like another floor of people. And then there was a guy that was renting it. That was the one time that I why did I curse him? I cursed him for some reason, and I felt bad about it. And it may not have been me. It could have been like Satan doing it and trying to make me feel bad. But he did something, and I just, it was when I was first waking up and all that. I cursed him, and then I saw him 2 hours later. Oh my God, what happened to you? I felt real bad. I forget what he did to me, but I was like, yeah. I don't know if I officially cursed him. I was very angry at him, and 2 hours later, his face was wrecked. I'm like, what happened to you? I fell. I think I was just more angry at him than anything else. I forgot what he did to me. I can't remember. And again, my parameters were in there. I was cursing anything that came against me. So if it was him, then it was him. If it wasn't, he may have been a warlock type of dude. I can't remember. Sorcerer type of dude. But he was okay. I mean, I tried to be respectful because he was running the place, for the people that actually owned it. I think he had a big rent payment he had to come up with at the end of the month. And I'm sure now they're probably restored homes. It was a big Victorian type house, I think. Or was it Mediterranean? It was like a Mediterranean. It was pretty cool. And there was this guy. It was pretty funny because people were waking up at that time period. The cicadas, it was like a cicada year, or the next year after the cicadas. People had what it was. People had woken up a year or two earlier, and some of us met in this house. And the one kid had just went to Congress, and we're yeah, I was at Congress, and I was sitting in the galley and all this, and he's waking up, so he's got some connect, That was pretty cool. We're talking to him about his time, visiting DC. But he got all screwed up somehow. I think he got wrecked on drugs, or he started getting addicted to drugs or something. And he got all screwed up, and I had to get out of there because they had already entered into the yoga studio, and it was becoming a setup. Now, one of the instructors secretly signed me, and I don't know if she wanted to have sex with me. Or she's saying they're effing you because they were already operating. I think she's trying to say they were effing me because she used me as she was wrapped around me, which made it weird. You know what I mean? Maybe she wanted sex. I don't know. Middle finger is not a good one to. I would have married the woman in a second if we had a relationship. She was fabulous yoga instructor, was a really nice woman. And she took her middle finger and pressed it into my side while she was doing it. So I'm like, is it sex or are they here? And she's telling me they're here. But I mean, surely they saw that my life was starting to come together in yoga, right? And people were noticing me. They look for people to see you. Again, if I walk into a bar a club, like a woman will start checking you out without you seeing her at first. So what the FBI, the DHS jerk off does is runs over and starts talking to her before we have a chance to. Some of them I didn't even know, but I caught them on a couple of them. And of course, they got government credit card, right? Government money. They're even doing it with government money. State police, local police included. So again, there's like nothing you can do. You get online, they're on that. The only way was the way I was doing it, just trying to meet people and be friends and see what happens. But they still, got involved in that. Which means, oh, you mean everybody you talked to, you were trying to date? No, that's what you wanted. You and your racketeering, criminal, drug dealing, sex trafficking bosses. That's who runs the government. Narcotics distributors and sex traffickers. That's where the pinnacle is. That includes Putin and all those people. That's how messed up the world is. That's how disgusting it is. That's why I tell you, I'm owed millions of dollars. Like each time I went out, I'm probably owed $1 million. Can't do that to people. But I would say $1 million, 100,000 each one. Whoa. We'll just crash the planet again. How you doing? Lady upstairs doing some work at night. Sometimes they get the desk people. They have to like clean a couple of rooms at night. It's an older woman. I feel sorry. She should be on the beach in Aruba in her condo. Now that'll kill what's ever coming against her because I'll have to fight that. This is what's been going on for 30 years. While they're bringing their bait people, that have to. So what they do is they make you speak to the bait person to have a good day. So you speak to the bait person, and then they say, "Oh, you're speaking to that woman. She's trying to have sex." Meanwhile, they're actually going out and having sex, including with that woman. They would call evil good. They would call good evil. Vice versa, vice. I can't remember. I don't think I cursed him. I think I was just angry at him. I don't know why I was angry at him. I forgot what he did to me. He probably doesn't even remember. I willed it away. Maybe God hasn't forgiven him, so I don't want to remember it anyway. I was like, oh my God. He was his face was all like scraped up and bruised. Like, what happened to you? I fell. I think he was on a ladder. He was on a step ladder. Well, when they curse you with a spell anyway, your mind just goes blank like that. Oh, that means he's going to harm people. Get away, all of you. Everybody knows you're all false. Everybody knows that I put my curses through God. Okay, trying to get out of all the shit they caused. All the failure on the planet, all the homelessness, all the increased crime. Because everybody has to be the respecter of persons. Because we're all Christian. Can you imagine what this planet looks like to God? Just think of the 3 thoughts I just put together. That is so far from where it's supposed to be. See, they're really affected by me telling you what they do when I go into a bar or a club. Trying to meet people. They hire them and shit. Then they, put gay people in, and they try to act gay and try to make you gay. Or get you to act out gay. And they call it a gotcha, right? So what they tell people is, you don't see him out at the club, do you? Right. So he's with the gay people. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at home making Native American pinyon pine smudges and smudging my apartment to get them out of there, get their evil spirits out of there. God, not use whatever's available. Well, based upon pinyon gum being used by the Navajo to alleviate the witches' curses, I would say pinyon pine smudges would do the same. Mm-hmm. Well, we wouldn't have to be that and use that unless, we wouldn't have to use that. But since the Christians sold the church to Satan and all the power of the church to Satan, then we'll use that. Just do what God tells you, remember. When all else fails, just do what God tells you. I'd be married. I'd be in the church. I'd be preaching. That's what pretty much my life would have been. God would not have had to expand it so far. I would have only moved to the point of explaining the Bible the way it was actually written, and with the intention of the additional information available in the end times, based upon what was available then. Again, seeing it clearly instead of through a glass darkly. Oh, okay, I remember now. This is why I had to keep walking, so I remember this. It's what I remember when I was going into my apartment to fix the curtain before. I forgot. My neighbor. I was wondering what was up with him. I'm like, did they put him up to something? Because he won't talk to me. We were very talkative. He's from Ethiopia. And then I'm like thinking, is this guy drunk? Maybe he's just drunk and he doesn't. And I think that's what it's. I spoke to him tonight. That's Monday, right? And he's. So I'm like, okay, it's because he's drunk. Probably he doesn't want me to know he's probably off the wagon, right? So, but you know how you're supposed to act. He's a leper. Just a leper. Just act normal. That's what I did. I just acted normal. Well, he told me his son said, "Dad, I'm praying for you." He said something like, "You're a good guy, Dad. I'm praying for you." Something like that. So I guess his son probably knows. That's probably what it's about. He's divorced, and it's probably from alcohol. I mean, I don't know for sure. I mean, there's nothing else wrong with him. You know what I mean? Right? That I can tell. Like, I don't think the deep state ruined his marriage. Like the rest of us here. No, that's how they do it. They ruin your marriage, so you'll be isolated, and you have to go in that direction, or you'll be tortured. Now they tried to get me stuck in the divorce, which is another trick they play. But they first have to get you. If they get you separated, then they extend your divorce. If you don't separate, like if you just kind of live together and it's peaceful, then they won't. They'll let the divorce happen quick because they want to get you isolated, right? Now, not for safety, to kill you, of course. They're murderers, man. The sick murderers. They go, who do we kill? Your victims, of course. They have all these thoughts that you all can't hear. That'll creep into your minds. If you want me to be the biggest warlock on the planet, I'll be it. God doesn't have a problem with it either. Just keep saying it. Keep on willing it. Watch the world change before your eyes. You want to play games and will things, all of you? Then it'll happen. But not the way you want it to. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God and all that you do.